Welcome to Bona Fide Dialogues.
In a world that's always racing forward, sometimes we need to slow down and reconnect.
Connect genuinely, broaden your perspective, and share your passion.
Bona Fide Dialogues, where authenticity, creativity, and passion merge. Tanya Wright is Vice President, Marketing and Communications of Hitachi Energy North America. Tanya has over 25 years of experience in marketing and communications, brand, promotions, campaign development, media, PR, advertising, and digital marketing. Tanya joined Hitachi Energy in 2018 and has led the North America communications team through the company name and brand transformation. Prior to joining Hitachi Energy, she led communications and marketing at Schneider Electric, Deloitte, and other technology companies. Tanya holds BA from Zaporizhia State University, Ukraine, and MBA from Meredith College, Raleigh, North Carolina.
To start, how would you describe what Hitachi Energy does for someone who might not be familiar with energy infrastructure?
Hitachi Energy is a global technology leader that provides electrification solutions for a variety of different industries. But in a simple term, it's the technology that allows to transmit and distribute electrical power to where it's needed. We're not in the generation business. We do not make wind turbines or gas turbines or any of the generation facilities, but we do enable transmission and distribution of power.
Could you talk a little bit about the company? It's a Japanese company, right?
Hitachi Energy was initially part of another company called ABB, and in 2018, the division of ABB was acquired by Hitachi, and since then it has been integrating into the Hitachi conglomerate. Hitachi is headquartered in Tokyo, Japan, but operates many different companies, sometimes as separate or standalone businesses, and Hitachi Energy is one of them, where our global headquarters are actually in Zurich, Switzerland. But we are a part of this large conglomerate called Hitachi and are seamlessly integrated into the overall company umbrella, and also working closely with many other Hitachi companies that are potentially serving different types of customers, but we are collaborating on joint projects or some types of solutions that require some innovation and contribution from other parts of Hitachi where Hitachi Energy doesn't necessarily have expertise in.
And Hitachi Energy is a new company, right? Relatively new company.
Relatively new, yes. Started or got its name in 2022 as Hitachi Energy. And we are we started transitioning into Hitachi brand. So today we're branded as Hitachi, but as a division of Hitachi called Hitachi Energy.
I have been thinking about AI a lot lately. And we're now in this AI race with China. Many people don't realize that this is happening. A good thing is that we're just in the beginning. We're building this foundation for AI infrastructure. In order for us to win this AI race, we need to have compute power. Having compute power is only one of the 5 pillars we need to address to win the AI race. When we talk about compute power, we're talking about chips, computer chips. Overall, generally speaking, there's a shortage of chips right now in the world, not just in the United States. Second pillar, a very important pillar, is data centers. That's why I wanted to talk to you today, so we can talk a little bit about data centers. The third one is AI governance. This is what I'm passionate about, and I think it's important for us to build ethical AI. The fourth pillar is education and workforce structure, because somebody needs to build those data centers, and we need people trained in that industry. And the last one, but a very important pillar, is security of AI systems. This is a very important issue as well. So Today, I wanted to talk about data centers. We need to build new data centers. And here in the US, we have more data centers than China has. But the problem is, first of all, they're not AI specific data centers. So we need to build completely new data centers. And it takes a long time just to build, get all the permits, land, buildings, and then infrastructure, and of course, electricity, water for cooling those systems. So I wanted to talk about electricity, and I'm so excited that you joined me today to talk about how we can power AI and what's the role of your company in this important process for our country.
Happy to do it, Christina, because the number one decision that data centers are making today, where to go and where to build data centers, is all dependent on the energy availability. And it's not only availability, but it's also affordability. Is energy that will be powering these data centers affordable for them, but also is it sustainable, and is it beneficial for the communities where these data centers will be built? And it's a very complex conversation, and probably not enough time to put it all in one podcast, but I will share a few perspectives on what really is happening today and where we're heading, how US essentially can win this AI race, and really is the country that will invest the most in the grid infrastructure, because data centers are that need to be powered, and especially with AI computing power, it requires a lot more power, and it's so volatile. It's not stable or predictable. It's actually quite fluctuating, because these AI models are not consuming power at the stable, kind of predictable level. And that means that the system, the design of these AI data centers has to be flexible. And the availability of power, or all the decisions about permits and grid connections and all the products and technologies that have to go into the construction or powering of data centers, have to be made very early, where the combination of many different stakeholders, and I will name a few, and obviously this is not the most exhaustive list, but data centers and the grid operators and utilities and infrastructure partners, local and federal government representatives, OEMs such as Hitachi Energy, because we are supplying the products to power these data centers. And for us to know where the data centers will be going, and how many transformers or high voltage breakers or any really substation products that those data centers will requires a lot of investments on our end. And that is not an overnight decision, right? Where even putting a power generation source in a particular location typically takes about from 5 to 10 years to build a new power generation facility. It doesn't even matter which generation, it takes a long time. Plus, to add to that, there's also permitting, there's siting, and all of those decisions and steps are unfortunately taking a long time. And therefore, for US to win the AI race, we have to accelerate, and we have to speed up all these different components and all the decisions that have to be made for each of the parties. And this is where AI can actually help, because AI will allow utilities and data centers, or even OEMs, to use the AI computing power to speed up the predictive models, to allow utilities to plan better where the transmission lines would need to go, where distribution centers would need to go. And it's a kind of double-edged sword, because you have a problem, but you also have a solution that can be solved by AI.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a very good point. Just to mention to our listeners the fact that, for example, a regular query in ChatGPT needs 10 times, or sometimes they say 10 to 100 times more energy than regular Google search. So we need a lot of energy. And the problem is there's no easy solution. Every project, like you mentioned, is a long-term project. So we can't wait. We have to take steps right now.
Yes, and as a matter of fact, AI factories are creating unprecedented demand and unpredictable loads for electricity. And essentially, it's driven by the fact that with the growth of AI in AI workloads is fundamentally altering the power demand profile on data centers. Where previous expansion cycles were characterized by scale inconsistencies, today trajectory is defined by intensity and variability. I would say yesterday's data centers were planning the power load more in predictable or something more scalable. But today or in the future, these AI power consumption models will be completely different, and they're extremely sporadic and compute intensive. And truly, unlike traditional cloud applications, which can be scheduled at balance, AI training models often operate in peaks, resulting in rapid increases in power consumption and cooling demand, placing stress on the grid and facility infrastructure, which creates this unprecedented demand for electricity, but also increased pressure on utilities that have to design a system that can accommodate these fluctuating power peaks, but also making sure that there's enough electricity to power the communities that essentially what they're tasked to serve.
Exactly. I think it's so important to mention that we need to make sure that we take into consideration the fact that it may affect our citizens, right? Would the prices for electricity go up because of that for us?
Typically, the electricity rates are set by public utility commissioners. And data center, yes, the price of electricity obviously will go up because there will be more demand for electricity. But typically, data centers are covering the cost because the increased demand is not driven by the increased demand from the communities. It's driven by data centers that are typically, I would say, cash rich, and they are able to afford to pay that premium. But still, those conversations need to happen early between data centers and utilities. How rates for this increased demand, or typically what typical rates would look like.
Yeah, we need to make sure it doesn't affect our communities. This is a very good point. No, thank you for that.
Yes, even though Hitachi Energy, as a technology provider, we're not involved in those conversations. We're providing or making products for utilities and data centers. It's typically not our expertise, but obviously the discussions between multiple stakeholders would need to happen ahead of time.
Interesting. So now it seems like we're trying to adapt old data centers and use them for AI. But I think you made a very important point that we need new data centers specifically for AI because the way they operate is different, right?
Yes. So I would say the new generation of AI data centers will require new types of systems and products in some cases. And I will give a few. We call them behind the meter assets, such as renewable energy generation, solar and wind. And you can have microgrids, for example, nearby these data centers that solely build for that particular data center. You also need, when you have renewable power, you need to plan for fluctuation of power when, for example, not when the wind is not blowing and the sun is not shining. You have to have battery energy storage systems that will store that energy. Hydrogen-ready engines, another source of electricity that can or should be explored more, and intelligent energy management systems that are typically can be even AI powered, but essentially it's the software systems that allow to predict and model the energy consumption of that data center. Which brings up a point of the importance of digitalization of the grid infrastructure, because the grid of today or data centers of today will be completely different in the next 5 to 10 years, where the power of AI will be leveraged a lot more than it is now. And yes, AI will require a lot of power, but it will also provide a lot of solutions in order to be able to like scale and accelerate and actually become a lot more efficient how we operate data centers.
Yeah, that's a very good point. It's like a problem and a solution at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to use AI to make our data centers modern, capable to operate and with higher demands. We need to build new data centers specifically for AI. And you said that it definitely takes a long time, right? That if you look at the project, it can take 1, 2, 3 years.
Depends on the size. Hyperscalers, we're talking about Meta, Amazon, Apple. Those are very large companies that can afford to build a hyperscale data center. But there are obviously other companies that are like mid-size, or it could be smaller data centers, and those could be, of course, built at shorter time frame.
Do you have an example of any project that Hitachi Energy is working on in terms of AI data centers?
Yes, we have an example. Even though I can't, don't quote me on this, whether it's an AI data center. We are helping data centers with primarily the hardware products and some of the software solutions, but not necessarily AI data center. However, where some of the technologies have proven efficient is the scalable or compact substation that can be deployed at the hyperscaler campus, where it's a smaller compact substation that is required for powering the data center, but it can be used in space-constrained spaces, especially when data centers are in cities. They don't have a lot of land to use, so you have to design a substation in a very compact manner. And we had a project in Ireland where they built the data center in grid-constrained region, and that's where we deployed a compact substation to support a hyperscale campus. The project demonstrated how grid infrastructure could be rethought to meet tight deadlines and space limitations, and really setting an example for other types of projects like this in the US. But I would say this type of model is still at early stage of development, but I see a lot more opportunities to scale and really speed up the construction of these types of compact substations. That are also much more energy efficient. Mm-hmm.
You already mentioned the fact that we need to do it fast. We can't put it on hold because the projects are time consuming. What else would you say that we need to do in terms of energy infrastructure in order for us to win this AI race?
Yes, essentially, I will probably quote the US government, because a few weeks ago, the White House has issued the AI action plan, where there was a specific section on the grid infrastructure. And essentially, it outlined the specific steps that need to be taken, where the government will provide, in some cases, the funding, but also some tax incentives, and also easing a lot of the decisions in terms of permitting and siting. And the aspects that were outlined in that plan essentially is to use what we have, but optimize the existing infrastructure. And there's a lot of room for improvement of existing systems that may not be necessarily the most advanced or innovative. There is room for upgrading the software and then the hardware that can be considered smart, right? Smart transformers and smart hardware assets where you can use and analyze the data or asset health of these assets, where you can understand how much life is still left and potentially upgrade and replace them with much more energy efficient type of hardware assets. So essentially, what I'm talking about the existing infrastructure. But what needs to happen next, right, as the next step of this evolution is building a lot more grid interconnections. So the grid infrastructure starts looking like a highway system where you can transmit power not one directional from one where it's generated to where it's consumed, but both ways. And that helps the in situations where, for example, one region, for example, is impacted by a hurricane or some natural disaster, earthquake, where the power is not available. If you have a two-way highway system for transmitting electricity from one region to the other, you can get the power from the region where the power is available. And today, U.S. grid is not there yet. We have a lot more advancements of some of these projects. We call them HVDC, which is high voltage direct current system, allows to transmit large volumes of electricity over long distances. And that technology is much more, let's say, developed in Europe, but not as much in the US. But this is an opportunity for US to invest in these types of technologies that are considered to be advanced and can be a lot more efficient to transmit power at much more higher voltage levels.
Yeah, when we think about how much needs to be done, I just hope we will start using AI for some good cause, find solutions. Yes, not just generating pictures and asking silly questions. I just hope we start to use it in the medical field and education, somewhere that people can actually benefit from it, because then you think about how much needs to be done for these models to work, including electricity. I hope they find good use cases for AI, of course, for defense, in medical field and education, because it's not as easy as it seems. This AI race, it's a real deal.
It can be overwhelming, right? But how do you eat an elephant is one piece at a time. And I think different industries will have to kind of scale or really separate of some specific instances or use cases of AI and start there. You can't tackle all of the AI challenges and solutions all at the same time. You have to have specific problems and find the application or use case how AI can solve it. And once that is done for a specific industry, that's where you can scale. But obviously, for this, you need a lot of talent, and I think we have a great opportunity for the new or young people that are either in college or they're about to enter the workplace. It's an opportunity for them to build those use cases and be the asset to the company where I see truly an amazing transformation in some of the workplaces where young people are bringing that digital expertise of understanding what AI can do and seeing what, let's say, the work processes at a certain company, how things are done, where they can bring some of the ideas and say, hey, how about we use AI for that? And that's where the knowledge and really learning the power of AI will start. Because even in the workplace, we all have Copilot or, Google uses was it Gemini, Capgemini. Some other companies are using different AI agents, but the knowledge or the full utilization of AI is not there.
Not yet, not yet.
Not yet, exactly. But that's where the younger generation can truly shine, of partnering with, maybe like mid-level or senior level career uh, people, and really innovate. What's stopping them?
Exactly. Identify problems and then create solutions using AI.
Yeah.
When it comes to energy infrastructure, I think, oh my God, there's so much needs to be done. But at the same time, isn't it a good reason for us to actually rebuild our infrastructure that is getting old, that needs it? I think it's a good thing, right?
Absolutely, definitely very good for companies like Hitachi Energy or Hitachi, because we are here to serve, but also innovate. And we love to partner with our customers and really collaborate and co-create some of the solutions that never existed before. But obviously, we need the full partnership and kind of full commitment to a particular challenge or project. And that's where I would say the power of Hitachi comes in, because Hitachi Energy may not have all the capabilities, for example, to solve a customer's problem, but we leverage other Hitachi Group companies' capabilities, such as Hitachi Digital or Global Logic, where we have the opportunity to actually design and engineer some of the digital solutions that never existed before, which I think is pretty cool and powerful, where you have the power of, or you have the power to do anything really and create anything that's possible.
This is great.
In many cases, utilities, for example, are very regionalized. The way they operate is very, very different from one versus the other. I'll use an example of PG&E, which is a large utility in Northern California, but they operate very differently than Southern California. And that's true for the rest of the country. The use cases can be different, but if one utility designs a solution, AI solution that works for them, there's probably a chance of repeatability across others. And I see an opportunity to really learn from each other and maybe define new use cases, how AI can help address some of those challenges. Yes, affordability of electricity is becoming much, much more important. Not only, in terms of generation, where the power is coming from and how to build a facility, it's really touching every single aspect of that ecosystem and the value chain of how electricity is generated, all the way how it's distributed. And that is problem number one that I'm not sure how AI can solve, because for a manufacturer like Hitachi Energy, we rely a lot on steel and copper, and the people and facilities that we have. To build a new facility, it takes about 5 to, in some cases, 10 years. Hiring thousands of people is not also easy in some cases, or fast. And that all adds to the cost of electricity at the end of the day. And that's where, unfortunately, AI cannot help. But the earlier
Actually, I can help in each step of this process, right? And
maybe
hiring better.
Yeah, but in our case, if you think about how transformers are made, either they're large or small, they're made manually. They're made by people, and AI will never automate that. They still have to be put
If
together by
AI is used for robots, right? And robots can put together those transformers faster, more robots. So maybe it sounds like we're far from that, but here in Silicon Valley, it seems like it's going to happen tomorrow to us. Sometimes, I live in this technology bubble, And I forget that in different parts of the world, people don't even think about AI the way we think about AI here. We feel like everything happens so fast. It's like this revolution, technology is changing so fast, but it doesn't affect everybody everywhere the same way, right?
Yes, absolutely. And like I said, maybe in the future, Transformers will be made by robots, but today they're made by people, and hopefully they will stay that way because um, we do employ a lot of people, and we build factories in sometimes I would say rural communities where just in general not many people live, and therefore we are giving back tremendous amounts of money to support those communities. It's not only providing them a job, but it's also assisting with building daycares and in schools and housing. We work with local governments, and essentially it's a tight ecosystem where any manufacturer or any employer who comes to the region and they want to build something, they have to get the local government support and in some cases funding to provide those jobs, because you can't bring people and give them a job without giving them a place to live. And unfortunately, it's just not the case.
This is very interesting. I feel like these issues are not being discussed widely. I feel like many of our listeners will learn a lot.
Interesting topic, but there's just so much to say, and it's changing and it's evolving. So, yeah, buckle up and prepare for a lot more episodes.
For AI revolution, yeah, AI race. And it's important that we have companies here in the US that are ready to innovate, that are ready to help us win this AI race, right?
Absolutely. It takes a village, and I would say I'm 100% confident US will dominate the world. But it does take a village, and it requires understanding and commitment from so many different parties and companies and stakeholders that have that same goal. And really, our job as the manufacturer of the critical infrastructure equipment is to work with all these entities and do the best we can, but obviously we can't do it alone.
This is great. I think we definitely need to have good strategy and build this foundation for successful AI, because it's like a building. If you don't build this foundation, the structure will collapse. We need to have the strategy and vision for our country.
Yes, and I hope that the U.S. government will lead us there, and all the important stakeholders that need to be part of those conversations hopefully will be able to provide a perspective or have a voice in their particular area of expertise, because not one entity can know the answers to all of the questions, but these conversations need to start at some level of really forming committees or in some cases study groups, right, of how to design the most energy efficient or most effective data center that uses the least amount of power. And I think it's an exciting journey.
Sounds like an exciting journey. It sounds like it's not an easy task. It's a good challenge, but it seems like many people are already on board.
Yes, 100%. Lots of different companies that now involved in these conversations. So it's just a matter of finding a good use case, and you have again to start somewhere. Maybe not with the most challenging scenario, but something that's more doable, and then scale and repeat. Sure. I would just say that I love what I do, and it's truly an exciting time to be in the energy space because there's just so much to come. And this industry has been, I would say, flat and stable for decades. And now we're entering a completely new phase of revolution, or it could be evolution, because it's just the natural transition of human society, right? Of changing and innovating. But we need a lot of people, and my company is hiring at a rapid scale. As a matter of fact, we will have to hire 15,000 people worldwide in 5 years. And it will require a lot of efforts to find these people, not only with engineering degrees, because we do need a lot of electrical engineers that can actually design these new systems of the future, but we also need a lot of blue collar workers that can work in factories and can build transformers and switchgear. And really, it takes a village. So we're looking for all sorts of different roles, and it's exciting. It's exciting times for sure. So yeah, I'm looking forward into the future. It's definitely going to be evolving very quickly, but it's important to just stay up to speed on the latest and greatest trends in the industry. But there's a lot to learn, and I'm excited about this learning and really what the new phase of AI revolution will bring us.
Wonderful. It seems like you're very passionate about what you do, about the company you're working for. But how about you personally? What would you like? What do you like to do outside of work?
Sure, I have a lot of hobbies, and as a matter of fact, it's just like even hard to list them. But I will mention a few that are absolutely driving me, such as traveling. I love to travel, not only just for the sake of moving somewhere and then going to a new place. I love to travel to meet new people and experience new food, because that's how we learn about different cultures. Even here in the US, it's such a diverse country that you go to a different state and you will experience and discover something new. But I'm such a, I would say, travelaholic. I don't know if there's a word, but as soon as I finish one trip, I come back home and I start planning a new trip. And that's just the constant journey for me of just knowing or dreaming
Exploring
about
the world, right?
Yes. Whether I will visit every single country, every single place in this world, maybe not, but having a goal or having a plan, 5-10 years from now where I will go, it's always fun. But aside, when I do not travel, I love to exercise, all kinds of different workouts, really name it from running to yoga. It's all fun to me, and I love trying new things as well. And I also love to try new hobbies. As a matter of fact, just a few weeks ago, I took a pottery class, and we made a clay toy. And I have my new friend here. I made this toy of completely, with my own hands, and
Amazing.
how. So hopefully I will start a new collection, and yeah.
It's important to stay creative, right?
Yes, exactly.
I wanted to say that you're such a great example for young ladies, for younger women. We met more than 20 years ago in Poland, and I've been looking at your career and your life over the years, and you're successful in your career, you're a wonderful mother, you're a good wife, you have your hobbies, so you have it all. So I wanted younger women to see that you can have it all. You can. How do you do it?
It's a great question. It seems like always from the outside, or this person or this woman may have a perfect life, but it comes at a price, right? There were a lot of sacrifices that I had to make because I was traveling and I had kids at home, and a lot of responsibilities were on my husband. I would say there needs to be a strong partnership with a spouse, or even if you're living on your own. Yes, a lot of things are possible, but you need to have a strong support. And that strong support from my friends and even my Ukrainian family that are far away, they provided me a lot of virtual support, and that is super helpful because you always know that no matter what challenge or problem you have today, you have someone who can help you and support you and basically be your cheerleader in the back. And I was realistic with what I could achieve. I didn't set some goals, but who knows, maybe in the future I will fly to the moon, but I never had that dream necessarily. I was always realistic what goals I could accomplish, and once I knew that, okay, this is my new goal, I had to have a plan how to achieve it. I didn't come up with some, I don't know, crazy goals or ideas that were not achievable. And I would say little by little, not everything happened all at once, but I had a plan and I worked towards it. But having a goal and having a vision is super important. You have to understand yourself. What do you actually want in your life, and not try to kind of chase every single objective and every single goal all at the same time. Just like I was talking about AI, it seems overwhelming, but you have to kind of slice it into
step by step, project by project. Yes, that's interesting, because many people, they think you have to give up something. You know, if you want to build your career, you can't build a family, or opposite, you know. But I like what you said. You have to decide what you actually want. What do you want? You have to decide what you want in life and then make a plan and achieve it. But I thought it would be a great example for young women to see that you can have it all if that's what you want.
Yes, absolutely. Not, again, it seems like sometimes things are perfect from the outside, and maybe someone may say this is not as great or as perfect as it could be, because there's always that, right? There's always someone better, has a better career, better title, better kids, whatever. But when you step into that, I would say, never-ending race with someone else, it never ends, and it can be actually self-destructive. So what I learned over time, that I should simply focus on myself and my family, on me, the things that I can control, because there are a lot of things I absolutely cannot control, and I can't change what people think of me or what they potentially I want them to do for me. I can't do any of that. And once I realized that I can control only things that I want and I want to change or contribute to, and I work very hard on myself to get there, that helped me change a lot of perspectives, where the race with someone else was no longer in my picture.
Yes. No need to compete, right? Just build your life the way you want it.
Exactly, because if you look at every single person in this world, at the end of the day, they think and care only about them and their family. I doubt that there is a person who just goes to work because they love to work and they love the company. They do it for themselves and they do it for their families. And therefore, at the end of the day, you yourself as a human being and your family and your close ones who will love you and care about you no matter what happens, should be number one goal.
And good companies understand that and support that.
Yes, and yes, there are a lot of different companies in the world, and I have been fortunate enough to work for a great company that provides great culture, but also a very strong support system, with just the culture that we have, and the variety, really the cultural diversity of people. For me, being surrounded by so many different nationalities and cultures, which truly is just I won a lottery, because I love to travel and I like to learn about different cultures, and I have it all sometimes in one day. So yes, I do think that finding the company that matches the same values or really shares the same values as you is, I would say, number one kind of reason for a lot of career success, because you have to be happy with what you're doing and you have to enjoy the environment and also trust the leadership that is taking you along the way on the journey. And when all that happens, that's, I would say, a lot of those extra steps when people are willing to take an extra step and go above and beyond, not for the money, not for some extra title. They're doing this because they love the company and they love the people, but they're also doing this for themselves.
Yeah. And they share the vision. Right before we started recording this video podcast, you were telling me about how excited you are about your work and what you do.
Yes, I mean, it's truly a perfect
hobby. Hard to call it a job, right?
Passion,
you're enjoying it so much.
Yes, exactly. And one of the reasons, I can't say it's a hobby, but I do love to learn something new. And this company, this job allows me to do it because there's never enough information or learning in this world. So naturally, I'm finding the opportunity to learn something new and be better, right? Because training your brain keeps you young.
That's a good one. Yeah. And finally, I wanted to ask you about kindness. I asked my podcast guests about kindness. What does kindness mean to you as a leader, maybe as a mother, in your personal life? And how do we keep this focus on kindness in this AI machine-driven world?
Yes, AI can do a lot of great things for the society, but I do hope that humans remain humans. And the major difference between the human and AI agent is understanding the emotions and understanding how humans or people feel, because feelings is something that you cannot teach AI, at least today. Who knows what will be in the future. But when a leader doesn't have emotional intelligence and doesn't understand what his teams are feeling or how they're motivated, that doesn't come from AI. AI will never tell you that someone is sad at work today. For the leader to understand, I would say, the mood and the feelings of their teams and understanding what the words they need to say and understanding how to structure the narrative or the message that they need to deliver to them to keep them motivated, or in some cases just have a conversation. To me, that's all about kindness and being human. Be transparent, have that sense of humility of kind of, I got you, I'll take care of you because that's my job. And I would say that's the biggest difference between the boss and the leader, is where the leader in many cases just sets their self aside, but they care more about the teams, versus the boss who only thinks about themselves and how to advance their career. And in those situations, I don't think they have the effective teams because people don't feel the connection with this leader or the boss.
Yeah, this connection is so important. Yeah.
Exactly.
So what does kindness mean to you personally?
For me personally, is that a lot of things are possible when you're kind to people, and again, that open connection and that open communication with people in a kind way really changes a lot of different things. It moves the mountains. And I will say, 20 years ago, where I was much more driven and career oriented, I didn't understand the value of sometimes changing the style or the way we communicate to people, where I was much more, let's say, driven by speed, we need to move faster and
have things done. Yeah.
was not as important. But over the years, I've changed my perspective on that, and I realized that when you do spend time with your teams and have a kind conversation with them, the benefit and the value of that communication or that time spent with the teams is really incremental, and it has a much more long-term effect down the years or down the road. And I love my team, and I've been fortunate to have some of them with me for many, many years, because I would say I worked on that. It wasn't an easy, and I think it's a challenge for a lot of managers who are extremely, I would say, career-oriented or extremely ambitious. They think that everyone else will be, following them just because they want to move fast or have that career, getting very ambitious career goals. But in fact, people are different, and they do require kindness. And I would say kindness is probably what will save this world. Just remind yourselves every day, have you been kind to your pets, to your family, to your colleagues? And if not, what can you do better next day?
Wonderful.
To me, that is super powerful.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina.